Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone, and today it is my distinct pleasure to give you a review of Transformers Takara Tomy Generation Selects number 3, which is the Voyager class Turtler, or as he's known in the US, Snaptrap. So Turtler is a very sophisticated retool of the Power of the Prime's hun-gurrr mold. He's the leader of the Seacons and forms the torso of their combiner mode, which is King Poseidon over there in Japan, or in the US, he's known as Piranacon. Now, this guy, and his team had been announced quite some time ago, over a year ago, I believe. Because I ordered through Hasbro Pulse, I'm a little late to the party receiving him because Pulse took a very long time to get these in stock. They got delayed, I think, was this guy delayed almost 2 months or so? So quite a while. And it's unfortunate because you'd think the official channel would be the best way to go, but people that ordered from third-party sites already have theirs. In fact, they're getting the final wave of this combiner set very soon. So, admittedly, I'm a little salty about the way that turned out. However, I should have seen it coming with how far Star Convoy was delayed. I think from now on I might lean away from Pulse when it comes to these Takara Tomy Selects toys. But I don't want to bore you guys with my little sob story there. What I want to do is show off this guy's packaging, crack it open, show off the toy itself, the different modes that he has, any sort of promotional materials he comes with, instructions, comic book. I'm not sure if these come with the comic, or if they just have the preview comic. We'll find out. Of course, I'll be doing some comparisons and everything, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So the first thing we see is this big, smooth, glossy black box with white lettering and designs. And this is the typical sleeve or over box that Hasbro puts on these Takara Tomy Selects when they import them over. So there's another box inside of this. But it's very minimalist. You got the TT for Takara Tomy, Generation Selects 03, Transformers Generation Selects. And it says an authentic Takara Tomy product as sold in Japan. And they do this for more than just Selects too. They do it for the Masterpiece toys. So nothing really new to see there. It's all just pretty much the same thing on every side. So let's go ahead, cut this tape off here very carefully so as not to damage the box. There you go. Carefully open this flap. Don't have to bend it too much. Let's slide out the actual cardboard box here. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's set this aside. All right, and here we have, appears to be a sleeve over the actual box. All right, you have this great kind of line art render of Turtler in his robot and turtle modes. Generation Selects, Seacons Turtler, Takara Tomy logo. Again, very minimalist, but it's pretty cool. You got the 35th anniversary logo there. That's neat. Spin this around, and just big old Decepticon logo on the back, because of course he is a Decepticon. Let's slide this off. It's taped. I think it's taped. I think it's just stuck. There we go. Whoop. Set you aside, my guy. Looks over, and over again. And another very minimalist box. We just got, oh no, they still have Generation Selects on here. So, not sure why that keeps swapping back and forth, but whatever. Decepticon symbol, some just nice little design work there. That's about it. Now, let us open it. Bend that back. And this is what we're given, your standard Selects logo here, black grid pattern. And then here's Turtler in his beast mode, or modified beast mode. Big old gun, which I'm digging. The shield / combiner chest, which has the vacuum metallized chrome design there, which I hope that doesn't start to crackle over time. Here are the big foot pieces that become the feet of King Poseidon. And then he's got swords. I mean, this guy is not lacking in accessories. You know, he sells for about 60 bucks, which is a bit steep for a Voyager, but he comes with a lot more than a Voyager does. In fact, with this many extra parts, I can see Hasbro trying to sell this as a leader class in, you know, Earthrise or whatever comes afterward. Okay. I can see them trying to justify 50 bucks for that. And here we have the instructions. Done a nice glossy color. They're purple, like the old school instructions and what Earthrise has moved away from. Alright, so here, let's see, it's like your parts layout. I can't read Japanese, so sorry. Shows you where to store his accessories, how to kind of put them in his proper turtle mode, all that fun stuff. And then the transformation to robot mode. This is, what is this, torso mode that they're doing here? Yeah, it looks like it. Transformation of the torso. Shows you all the things you can do with his different accessories, so that's neat. He's got a little fold-out panel on his leg to attach those, that's cool. How to store everything, all that fun stuff. So yeah, nothing too complicated, but at least they're detailed and fleshed out, let you know what you're supposed to do with everything. So now, let's take him out of the plastic shell here and see what we're working with. Oh, I almost forgot before we get into the toy itself. Something interesting I noticed on the packing slip for this toy is the listing for him here calls him Transformers Takara Tomy Generation Select Arsenal. And, you know, I was thinking like, well, is that just a name for the overall team or something? But it actually appears to be some kind of code name they use in the system, because if you look at the one that came with Gulf, or Scalar, who I'll be reviewing next, they call him Generation Select Manchester. So these do actually seem to be code names that I haven't seen pop up anywhere so far. So it's very interesting. I don't know why they have these strange names for them. Guessing maybe these listings were put in the system a long time ago and they didn't want to spoil what was coming, would be my guess. Probably went in the system before they were actually revealed. But yeah, just a neat little bit of trivia there for you. Right, now that we've seen the inside of the box and the instructions and all that, now this is all the actual plastic that comes inside. So you have Turtler himself. I've gone and, you know, assembled him properly into his turtle mode. You have this sword with this very large cannon with a bunch of, I don't know, it's like interesting little 5mm ports, but there's also like little stubs in there. Kind of look like almost like old mini-con connections. Not sure why it has all those. Just odd. And then you have these foot pieces, which are 2 pieces of plastic. This isn't painted, it's actual pink plastic, so that's good. I think that's the best way they could have gone with that. And you see these little machine gun things on the side. Those can fold in, like so, and just make these little like machine gun type weapon things. They use the same little ratcheted ankle joint that the Power of the Prime's feet used. So it can go either direction, which is great. Got a little hole in the back because, like the Power of the Prime's feet, they have the hand pieces connect to them. So yeah, those are kind of the extra accessories. Move to the side, yeah, Turtler himself. His little shield / combiner chest piece makes up the back half of his shell. These cannons that form the other kind of the front sides of his shell are detachable pieces. And the instructions don't show this, but they can actually extend and retract too, which is interesting. So you grab it, pulls out, pulls back in, locks into place in either position. Yeah, I don't know why they don't address that in the instructions. So I don't know. It's good that they can extend and be a little more, I guess, intimidating, but I'm not sure what mode that's meant for. If he's supposed to be able to do it in turtle mode, bot mode, combiner mode, it doesn't say, so I'm very unsure. You got his little head here, which is on kind of like a double hinge, drops down, exposing a lot of ugly hollowness. His jaw is hinged, and you can see it's painted on the inside, which is very cool. Got a tongue painted, with the rest being black. it's not ratcheted, but it does have kind of a point where it'll kind of snap open and shut, which works out for the English name, huh? Snaptrap. As far as posability, he can have these legs, you know, bend, rotate. It can go down. Well, actually, they can't really. They can, but these are in the way, and they're not meant to, so. He can move these legs, but there's not much of a point to doing so. The front legs are on a ball joint, but they can only, like, go in. They really just rotate. Like, the ball joint's too tight for them to even bend inward. So they're effectively not posable. So he is kind of a brick in this mode, functionally. I mean, you can move him in certain ways if you want to, but yeah, it doesn't really work for him. But he's just, you know, he's there to be just kind of this big old, slow-moving battle platform type monstrosity anyway. And speaking of him being a battle platform, all of those extra accessories I showed you can be mounted onto his turtle form. So the sword goes in this hole on his underbelly there. Just kind of press it in, keep it straight, just kind of tucks away. This cannon plugs into this here, but just like the holes on the cannon, what is focusing? It's got that little nub in there, which makes the cannon not really sit all the way in. So it goes in, but it's a little loose, a little wobbly. Not sure why. You know, I just realized that this probably forms his big combiner weapon, doesn't it? Yep, that's why it has all those holes. It's going to combine with the other Seacon's weapons. I'm so smart. All right, these, go ahead and fold the little machine gun bits up, and you're plug them into the sides of his shell, right here. And here. And now he really is a walking battle platform. I mean, he looks like he can do some serious damage. And if you want to make him look cooler, you can always extend these barrels out to almost kind of match the main cannon in length. Almost. And yeah, it's just a fun little thing you can do that arms him up very convincingly, but also gives you storage for all of his extra accessories, which you'll see in the Gulf review. Storage isn't always abundant in certain forms. And here I wanted to show off Turtler's mold mate, hun-gurrr, from Power of the Primes. And I just, want to do this to showcase, what's the same, but also just how much is different between these two. I mean, I already knew there was pretty extensive retooling, but this is, I'd say at least half of this toy is brand new parts, which is amazing. So the most obvious thing that stayed the same are the hind legs, or robot arms. You can see they seem to be completely unchanged, going from the shoulder joint all the way down. However, you'll notice that the way they're oriented, the forearm parts here are backwards from one another. Whereas hun-gurr's point have these little pegs pointing outwards, his point inwards in this mode. So that's interesting. Wasn't really expecting that. And then aside from that, you can kind of see the inner workings of the robot legs here and here seem to be the same, but from the knee down seems to be all new pieces here. So yeah, very, very little actually stayed the same between these two. I'd say you might have a hard time convincing some people that, this would be considered a retool, not just part sharing. But, of course, all that stuff's subjective, so, call it what you want. All right, now it's transformation time. So, the first thing you want to do, if you haven't already removed his extra accessories, take those off. And then we're going to remove his other accessories while we're at it. So, the back part of his shell, which is that shield piece, is going to come off of this little hinged bit here. These need to come off. Push those back down for now. Move these out of the way. Now, the hind feet, you go ahead and fold back just the beast part, the little claws, get them out of the way. Gonna lift this up, turn it around, make sure his mouth is closed, push the head all the way down until the chin snaps in place. And then the legs, you're just folding down and inward. And then he's got these tabs on the insides of his feet that go in these slots here. So push them in nice and firmly. They sometimes want to pop out, so just make sure they're in there right. And go ahead and just push this all the way up so it snaps in. Now the legs, you want to separate these panels first. And they hold on pretty tightly, more so than the hinges, so you may very well pop them off the hinge, which is not a big deal because they come back on. There's no pin or anything. So just kind of keep those folded out. Unfurl this, turn it forward. You're gonna bring the foot out. It's kind of held in there by these little clasps pretty firmly, so give it some pressure. Kind of fold this all the way out, all the way forward, whatever you're gonna do. And this just tabs right into the back. That's one leg, so you do the exact same thing here. Get that foot out of there. Close that. All right. Now you got his legs. All right, we're gonna bring these arms down. Those ratchets in the shoulders really freak me out. They're so tight. Reminds me of the Power of the Prime Starscream toy, actually. So just grit your teeth a little and turn them very carefully. So that sounds like a ratchet that wants to tear itself apart. But go ahead, you'll spin the forearms around, and the last thing we want to do is get his head out. So grab not just this part, but this whole panel right here. Grab that, pull it out, and you can use this little tab here as leverage to flip his head out. And now this tends to snap back into place, so you want to make sure his head is, or the panel's head is on its properly aligned when it snaps, so it just goes in the right place like that. Turn his head around, and there you have his base robot mode. No weapons or anything attached, just good old Turtler. And one thing you're going to notice is my guy keeps wanting to fall backwards. And that is a bit of a problem with the design of this toy, and probably the only thing I dislike about it. His feet, they are engineered to provide, ankle tilt and rock and all that, which is great for posability, more so than what you get for most combiner torsos. But it tends to give him an issue to where there's not a lot of support if he wants to lean back. So that's something you have to be on the lookout for. And especially once you start attaching accessories, he's going to tend to be a little more back heavy and just heavy overall, which means that top part's going to be more likely to overcome resistance in the ankles. So just be careful. All right, the shield. You're just going to go ahead and plug this. Try to break it. Plug that there. So he's got a shield. His cannons are going to go on his back, and the instructions have you orient them in a way where the angle on this little vent thing, the higher side goes toward the outside of him. I don't think it really matters functionally, but that's the official placement. So you just get them on his back like so. And now, of course, we want to give him a sword. So you just go ahead, connect it to his hand like so, and this is his pretty standard battle configuration, sword and shield. Now, he still has the big old machine gun things, which you can attach. I'll show that in a second. He's also got his just massive, massive gun. So you can always choose to swap out the sword for the gun. I'm gonna go that route. I got dog hair on my gun. Alright, there you go. So, it's a very big rifle or cannon that he wields, and he's just tall enough to where it doesn't look too comically large for him. And now, if you want him wielding that, and you want somewhere to store his sword, instructions actually provide you with a really handy way of doing that. you see this top hole right here. You just plug the sword in at a diagonal, and you can see it kind of just like slots right in there perfectly. So you can do that, and it'll still go on his forearm just fine. No clearance issues or anything. So there you go. You can be geared more toward range combat, which is great. Now the last thing are these pieces. So you may have already seen it, but he has these sliding, rotating bits on his shins, which this is impressive. I mean, they really went out of the way to design this in there. Basically, the way these work is, right now he just has like a sculpted detail right here, but you can spin this around, slide it back in to put the sculpted detail on the inside and put an actual 5mm hole on the outside of his leg. And that is the perfect place to attach one of these bad boys. So it's really interesting that they did that. Now, you kind of have the option of having a cleaner look on the outside of the leg, or you can have a 5mm port. Make him compatible with all sorts of accessories. Heck, the siege combat system if you want to go real nuts, And plug that back in there, it's sliding out. You can make this guy very heavily armed if you want to. Again, just be aware that like the more weight you stack on him, the more likely he's going to be to want to flop backwards. So you just got to be really careful with that. Now, speaking of making him back heavy, I'm going to do one more thing to make him just slightly more back heavy. Now, this isn't called out in the instructions. The instructions actually don't even show him interacting with this big gun in robot mode. But it seems intended that you can go ahead and plug this weapon right here. And the clearance seems to be just perfect for it to like slide right in here. And also just kind of match the two cannons that are already pointing upward. So that is an option that you have if you want to have him, wielding a sword and storing that big old rifle thing. So there's a lot that this guy can do. And he just... Oh god, there's so many accessories. Like, $60, like I said, is a lot for a Voyager. But 30 wouldn't be enough, honestly. He comes with so much. He has so many moving parts. I mean, the flip around leg panels is genius. I mean, wow. They really outdid themselves. The last selects that they put out there, Star Convoy, while impressive, I always felt like they could have done more. Certain parts they could have swapped out with him, especially like his windshield chest thing. But here, I mean, I have no complaints as far as just the level of effort that went into setting this guy apart from his predecessor. This dude does so much. All right, once again, here is hun-gurrr, just so you can see how very, very different these two are. And, it's kind of as I predicted. The whole arm pieces are the same. Upper leg joints and ratchets and all that are the same. And then beyond that, I mean, there might be some small parts, ratchets, things like that might be the same, but boy, they do so many things differently and in their own way, and just whoop, got a problem. I mean, these hardly look like the same toy anymore. And that is perfect. I mean, the best kind of retool is the one that you can't tell is a retool, if you ask me. And again, this just shows how much effort was put into this guy to really make him special. Now, before I go ahead and throw my final thoughts out there, I'm going to give just kind of a quick preview / overview of the torso mode, just so you see what it looks like. I'm going to go more in depth on that and all of the combined modes when I review the full set, the full combiner. Alright, and here is this torso mode along with Abominus's. And this mode right here probably is the most similar between the two as far as the positioning of their overall parts. The robot arms are positioned as kind of the upper legs of the combiner, The robot legs are folded out to the side. Head comes up pretty much the same way. So the big picture stuff is all there. The really cool part with this guy is how it all kind of comes together. You put the shield on, and not only does it plug into a hole, but it pegs into these spots right here in the robot legs, which is great. The little turtle head and stubby legs, they get rotated around and actually become what the back of this little head panel plugs into. So the thing plugs together very tightly. You can see I got the cannons extended just because I think it looks a little better, a little more size appropriate for the big robot. Again, it's never shown in the instructions, so I don't know if that's official or not. So yeah, I mean, Abominus was one of my favorite combiner torsos, so it would be no surprise that his very heavily retooled, heavily decorative mold mate is also going to be up there on my list. And you know, he's going to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite torsos ever made. His little head fins, they do retract when the head's being stored, and they just kind of fold out rather seamlessly. I didn't even realize that was a thing for this toy till I got it open. So overall, it just looks great, and I really can't wait to finally build the whole thing. Of course, if I was one of those nuts that saw the first King Poseidon comic and decided to just buy 4 Gulfs to make an all-Gulf Abominus combiner, I could have shown you that, but I am not that rich and not that crazy. Though, you know, if anybody wants to donate 3 Gulfs to that, you know, that fund, that's cool. I'll take that. Sneak peek. What? Whoops. You guys didn't see that, did you? No? Good. All right, so final thoughts on Turtler, aka Snaptrap. I love this damn toy. Like, guys, I haven't been this excited to get something in hand and really see how it works in a long time. And I mean, that's saying a lot, right? Siege was fantastic. Earthrise is amazing. There's some great figures. But I'm just so wowed by this thing. The number of moving parts that he has to make everything work, the extra details, the tons of accessories. I mean, jeez. I mean, just bravo. This thing blew me away. So, I mean, I don't even have to think about it. You know, highly, highly recommended. Great, great toy. Now, his color scheme may not be your thing, but too bad. You're going to enjoy that late 80s goodness, and you're going to like it, because it is worth picking this thing up for. The thing that might be a bit of an obstacle, though, realistically, is the price tag. He's about $60 before tax, which is a rather painful price tag for a toy of his size. But honestly, if there's a Voyager out there that is worth $60, it's this one. The paint, the parts count, all that stuff makes him so far above and beyond the other combiner torsos that it's honestly just not fair to them. Like, it kind of makes me want them to just go back and redo all of them and make them all better. I mean, the feet, let's talk about these things. They finally got this right. I mean, Combiner Wars, the feet were too small, they weren't articulated, but, you know, they were stable at least. Power of the Primes, they had more posability, but they weren't very stable, even with a hand attached to the back, and, you know, it didn't really work all that well. And then you get these things, and they very much remind me of the third-party offerings that were available. You know, the unlicensed stuff for the combiners, where people wanted to improve their limbs, and those feet tended to, you know, fold up in like some sort of, you know, machine gun or cannon or something to hide the fact that they were feet. And this doesn't hide the fact that it's a foot as well, but the trade-off is that it's very, very stable. This is by far the biggest combiner feet they've ever made for, you know, a Combiner Wars compatible toy. And man, it is good. Ratchets are nice and stiff, so not gonna worry about things being too shaky. It's very wide because of the guns out to the side, so they don't tend to slide or tip over. I mean, God, they really finally just nailed it. Now, the unfortunate thing is that it was very costly to do that. Like I said, the engineering and the parts and all that went into making this so good, there's no way it would retail for $30, even if it were a domestic release. You're probably looking at least $40 worth of toy here based on, current market values. So it kind of, I guess, shows an inherent flaw in the Combiner Wars system in that you can't really make great combiners at a standard Hasbro budget price point. They just can't do it. They would have to charge more, and then they wouldn't sell nearly as well. So it's actually kind of depressing that, Takara's showing you like, okay, fine, you asked for it, here it is. Also, pay us a lot of money now. So, yeah, kind of bittersweet now I think about that. I think I'm getting a little too introspective. Let's maintain focus here. Yes, Turtler, Snaptrap, whatever you want to call him, amazing. His limbs, I've only played with Golf so far, and I don't want to spoil too much for the next review, but I very much like Golf too. I'm sure I'll like the other ones about as much, and then the finished product is just going to be breathtaking. So get this toy if you can afford it. Now, of course, that is my very biased opinion. I don't think I've ever given something such a glowing review before. But I need to know, what is your opinion? What do you all think of this long-awaited update on the Seacon Commander? Is it everything you could hope for? Do you see areas of improvement for it? Am I just hyping this thing up way too much and I need to come down off of Cloud 9 a little bit? Love to know your feedback in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review as much as I enjoyed making it, make sure to toss it a like, let YouTube know that you do want to see stuff like this on their platform. And if you do want to continue seeing stuff like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this very excited look at a very, very well-made toy. And with all that said, I will see you next time.